Certainly, let's try and enhance those opportunities. Get in Kunal Shah, Senior Technical and Derivative Analyst at LKP Securities with his thoughts. Kunal, good having you. Thanks for taking the time out. Kunal, this slightly divergent performance within the indices, despite the fact that the overall market breadth isn't positive, but as an index, mid caps and small caps doing well. How do you analyze the trade on the specific indices, Nifty, Bank Nifty, or anything else?
Good afternoon, Neeraj. I think this is the truncated week what we have, and because of this truncated week, we will be having moves where the index will be a sideways, but mid cap and small cap will continue to gain some traction. So I think the entire week is going to be like that. I don't expect any big momentum coming in either of the index, that is Nifty and Bank Nifty. My range for Nifty is 21,850 and 22,200 on the upside. So I expect this range to be maintained. And for Bank Nifty, on the higher end, 47,000 is an immediate resistance. So once that is taken out decisively, then we will see some short covering coming towards 48,000 on the upside. But my sense is even Bank Nifty would be stuck in a broad range, which the mid cap and small cap is where we'll be seeing the action for the next couple of days. So I'm bullish on the mid cap and small cap space, but for the headline index, I may see some consolidation move in the coming days.
Kunal, the stock of the afternoon is Indigo. Started the day pretty well, built on to those gains. Fundamentally, of course, there are enough and more news triggers indicating a 25% upside from current level. On the charts, does Indigo look good? Is it still a buy at these levels for trading gains?
Yes, I think definitely even at the current levels, the stock looks very attractive. The stock has given a fresh breakout, and it is up by more than 5%. So obviously those who have already purchased it from the lower levels continue to hold it. For a fresh entry level, if you get any dip, that would be ideal. Since the headline index is a little bit weak, you might get some opportunities on the lower end. 3450, 3460 is an ideal level where probably one can initiate fresh long positions. So 1% downtick move, what you get, that would be an ideal point to enter again. That is the support zone. I expect Indigo to go toward the levels of first is 3650 and second is 3725. So I think a good upside even from the current levels is visible from Indigo.
Right, that's the technical view coming in on Indigo. Trade. Kunal, do you track Avenue? It's taken a while to make moves, but today it is turning out to be one of those days when the counter is drawing enough and more attention from traders. At the current price, is there a trading opportunity, or it's a missed one here?
Yeah, I think majority of the moves you can say has been missed here. The upside next resistance on the technical chart for DMart is at 4600. So 4464 it is currently trading at. So even if you look from the current levels, there's good 150 points upside still there, which is almost equal to 4 to 5% over here. So I think those are already holding it from the lower levels, continue to hold. There's still upside left. For fresh entry, wait for opportunities on dip. Now the support for the stock is at 4400. So if you get the stock in the range of 4420 to 4430, that would make a good risk to reward opportunity for you as well. So accumulate at those points at 4420, 4430 levels. Look for targets of 4600 on the upside.
Okay. And before we hit that break, Kunal, what are the stock recommendations for the afternoon from your end?
See, my stock recommendation first would be Finolex Cables. I think a very beautiful technical setup what we have got here. The stock has given a double bottom breakout on the technical charts with a good rise in volumes as well. We can expect a good up move in the stock in the coming days as well. Finolex Cable currently trading somewhere around 960, 950 zone. So one can buy at the current levels or any dips towards 950. The downside stop loss should be placed at 890. I'm looking for targets of 1100 on the upside. So this will be a bit of positional call, but I think a very good setup on technicals what you have got and a confirmation of a breakout.
Right. Kunal, stay with us. Those are a few of his buy calls, trading opportunities. Stocks like Indigo, Avenue, Finolex are grabbing quite a bit of attention in trade today. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk more to Kunal and understand better about what is happening in the markets this afternoon as we gear up for the last half an hour of trade.
All right. right, back with India market close right here on NDTV Profit. While we've spoken about a lot of stocks which have gained today, and yes, a lot have gained quite significantly today. A few losers. Hindustan Construction Company, for all the fanfare, is down about 5.5% in trade today. So that's not done all that well. There is weakness in Dhani, that's down about 8%. JM Financial and IIFL have looked slightly wobbly in the session today. So both of those have corrected. And real estate, we mentioned at the start of the day as well, some specific stocks. Brigade, for example, is down about 3.5%. But some of the others too. After having a very good run the whole of last week, Brigade, Sobha and some others have pulled back a bit. So before we do that conversation on gas, Kunal, just a quick word on real estate. Very weak performance in the week before last. Last week it bounced back, the index up 5%. Today again a bit soft. How do you trade this?
Yeah, I think there is going to be consolidation in the entire real estate space after the massive outperformance what we have seen in the last 1.5 to 2 years. And I think it will be now a stock specific approach which one should take when it comes to the real estate space as well. Two stocks which I would like to highlight over here from the reality spaces. One is DLF. And I think that is ready. The stock is ready to hit its all-time high mark as well. I think DLF is something which is looking very bullish even from the current levels. And second, a stock which I would like to highlight over here is Prestige. I think after a decent up move, we have also seen a decent correction in the stock. And I think the stock on a fundamental perspective is also available at a very reasonable value. Plus on the technical front also, I can see a decent upside from the current levels as well. So Prestige and DLF, these are the two stocks which I'm bullish on from the real estate space. The entire space might go into a consolidation space, but within that space, you will have outperformer, and DLF and Prestige are my top two picks.
Well, certainly doing well in the real estate index per se. At the highest point of the day or thereabouts, would you trade this one?
See, I think if we look at the long-term chart for GAIL, the long-term chart looks very good. GAIL has been trading in an uptrend with high low formations. With the recent market correction, what we got in the mid-cap and the small-cap space, you could see that GAIL has not corrected even much. So I think there's a good upside even from the current levels. Specifically in today's trading session, there has been a breakout with volumes. The past 1 week high has been surpassed with volumes, plus the 20-day moving average has been taken out. So I think a good time to enter into the stock from the current levels. 190, 195 could be an immediate target. And for a positional basis, it can also head towards 210.
So the word coming in on GAIL. Another space that's doing pretty well in the markets today is the diagnostic stocks. Stocks like Dr. Lal's. Kunal, very quickly before we slip into a break, is it any of these stocks that you like? Dr. Lal Path, Metropolis, they're all up and about.
I think the entire lab space had witnessed a sharp correction from the higher levels, but whatever bounces what we are getting from the lower levels are not getting sustained. Again, we have got a bounce in today's trading session, but how sustainable this bounce is a question for me. So I think if I talk about Metropolis in particular, the stock has taken a support at a rising trend line, but it is very important for the stock to sustain above the mark of 1600. So earlier also the stock had taken a support at those levels, but again it is not able to maintain it. So if for 1600 we close today above it and we are able to sustain above this mark of 1600 for a couple of days, then we might see some attraction coming towards levels of 1700, 1725. So a good bet to take at the current levels on the long side because of the risk reward ratio. But this is a space which has been very vulnerable, and we don't see any consistency coming in the near term. So if it stays above 1600, one can continue to be long, looking for targets of 1725 on the upside.
Right. Kunal Shah, stay with us. We'll take a break. It's getting to 3 o'clock. We're gearing up for the last half an hour of trade. It's not been a bad session. We'll take you through all that and a lot more on the other side. So stay with us.
Just a quick word on any of these names, Kunal, that you may have spotted, particularly Power Industries or let's say a Time Technoplast.
So I think if we look at Time Technoplast, that is one stock which looks very interesting on technicals. The reason being is if we look at a long-term chart, that is the monthly chart for it, it is a classic double top breakout what we have got from the stock. So I think there's good upside available even from the current levels on a positional basis. Already the stock has rallied a lot, so if you are holding it from the lower levels, continue to hold it. For fresh entry, the resistance on the higher end, which was placed at around 240. If you get at those levels, that would be a good opportunity to enter long. So 240 to 235, keep it as a fresh entry range. One can look for positional targets of at least 300, 320 in the near term, which is like almost 20% on a positional basis. For a short-term perspective, one can immediately look for at least 265 to 272 on the upside.
Right. Well, that's the call coming in on time. Techno. Well, let's move on from there. And Popular Vehicles is the second automobile retailer which to get listed on the exchanges after Landmark Cars. Kunal, you want to do this on the charts? I know not too much data, given that there are some of these are very recent listings. But Landmark versus Popular, what looks better on the charts? And of course, then I'll come to Vineet for a fundamental view too.
Yeah, I think if we look at Landmark Cars on technical charts, there has been clear-cut a top which was made at 900 mark. And post that top, we have seen a decent correction towards 700 levels. Now the support for the stock stands at 680 zone. So we are currently trading at 690. So we are at a very critical support zone of 680, 670 zone. So at the current levels, I'll be in fact a buyer in this stock for a contra bet where one can initiate long positions as well. 690, 680 has been typically a zone from where earlier also we have seen strong buying with volumes as well. So I think a good risk to reward ratio at the current levels as well. So one can buy at the current levels, keep a stop loss of 670 on the downside on a closing basis because at the support level, closing basis stop losses are very important. So 670 as a stop loss, and one can again look for a pullback at least towards 740, 760 zone on the upside.
Well, Kunal, we've got another 7-8 minutes to go before we wrap up trade. Any buy today, sell tomorrow, sell today, buy tomorrow trades for our viewers?
I think what we discussed on the show as well, I think the reality as a space has specific counters which will continue to do well. From that pick, my will be DLF, even at the current levels. So 874 is currently where DLF is trading. So one can initiate longs at the current levels. Keep a stop loss of 850 on the downside. Look for first target of 910 and second target of 930 on the upside.
That's a few of the buy trades coming in from Kunal on the charts. We've highlighted most of those counters that are doing well, but another. Well, Vineet, Kunal, thank you very much for joining us today on the show, taking us to the last hour of trade. It's not been a bad trading session. In fact, a very steady one. If you're an option seller, you'd have been making quite a bit of money, and also if you were playing stock-specific action, you would have earned quite a bit of a premium, given that we started off steady and remained steady, but the day was dominated by stock-specific trade. We're going on with a small cut, still about 22,000 is where we close, 81 points lower on the Nifty 50. That's pretty much where the index started off today's trade, and going on with that at the end of the day as well.